Sponsored and promoted by Legit Paranormal.
Good evening, and welcome to Legit Paranormal News. I am King Michael. Dreamy David Barr is out today on assignment. Now for our top story. Ghosts might access memories that live on outside the brain. It's a big roadblock for the potential existence of ghosts that seem to have memories, yet they don't have a physical body. So where are those memories stored? We know that memories are linked, at least from some reports, of spirits. For example, those who are able to communicate with the living and communicate details about their life and even how they passed away. Some spooks are afraid to have unfinished business, something they simply cannot forget, even in the afterlife. On the face of it, it seems obvious that a ghost can't have memories of the past or accumulate new ones because it doesn't have a physical brain to store them. In fact, in a recent discussion about the storage of memories, Spanish theoretical physicist turned neuroscientist, keep adding big words for me, Alex Gomez Marin said that people tend to agree that it's absolutely unthinkable that memory would not be stored inside our heads. Gomez Martin debated the possibility that memories might not be stored in the brain with biologist Rupert Sheldrake in a 30-minute YouTube discussion. That's about 29 minutes too long. They talked about a hypothesis known as morphic resonance, which, if true, means that perhaps there is a mechanic that could mean memories exist without a brain. Good news for ghosts. Was that a joke? Gomez Marin introduced the idea by suggesting that the brain might not be responsible for thought, but rather act as a conduit for it. He explained the brain receives and filters the mind, and in that case, memories would not need to be stored physically inside the brain. Sheldrake likens the idea to a television, which relies on influences coming from outside the set itself. He says it's not the TV set, though the TV set's necessary for receiving it and manifesting the pictures and the sounds, but they're coming from somewhere else. Sheldrake explained that despite several experiments to find the location of memories in the brain, no one has ever succeeded. This involved cutting out chunks of the brains of rats and octopus. Why octopus? They're like the smartest, nice. With no obvious effect to their stored memories. Sheldrake tells us one researcher concluded, memory seems to be both everywhere and nowhere in particular. That's a sentence that means nothing, but something, but nothing. For balance, a quick Google search does bring up the websites of several research institutes that don't seem to be in total agreement with this claim. One states that 3 areas of the brain involved in explicit memory: the hippocampus, the neocortex, and the I didn't say the word right in that thing. But even this research agrees that no one part of the brain is responsible for memories alone. The key fact here is, and something Sheldrake makes clear in his video, which is 29 minutes too long, is that memories work through the brain. So although we don't know where memories are stored around our physical brain, it's clear that there doesn't seem to be a mechanism for receiving and manifesting memories. This, of course, is problematic for brainless ghosts, unless there's a way for a disembodied entity to tap into these floating memories through some currently undiscovered mechanism. Whether Sheldrake's thoughts on memories are true or not, or indeed if they could give rise to a disincarnate being that withholds its memories after death, is certainly an interesting debate, and one which could be important doors in our wider standing consciousness in the paranormal. On to our next story, which I know that Dave really wanted to get into, but I will tackle myself. Psychic predictions for 2023 include food shortages, more world conflicts, and a major cosmic event. But this guy sounds like a real happy guy. Never potty with this. British psychic Craig Hamilton Parker has revealed a series of predictions that he expects to come true over the next 12 months. His insights include more world conflicts and instability between nations, a global shortage of food, and a cosmic event in our solar system that could cause problems here on Earth. Has Craig just been paying attention to the world? The psychic is well known for his annual prediction videos, and last year correctly predicted the death of Queen Elizabeth. In a death pool, wouldn't you pick her? His insights include more world conflicts and instability between nations, which I already said. The psychic is well known for his annual predictions, which I already said. It's been a rough few years for Craig, and he says there is a light at the end of the tunnel, but we're not quite there yet. Of course not, Craig. In his 2023 psychic predictions video, he told viewers, I think 2023 and 2024 are both going to be very challenging years still. But I think this is the last 2 years of real hard difficulty that we're going to see. Because my feeling is that after 2024, and particularly into the 2025, the problems of the world will start to ease very much at the time. Is Craig allowed to vote Republican in the United States? He just said. Craig made his latest predictions in a series of videos which can be found on his YouTube channel. Craig covers of everything from the glimpses into the future of world economy, increased social division in Britain, falling house prices, and what the future holds for Harry and Meghan. He said, I see Meghan Markle having her own television show, he added. I'm seeing sort of an Oprah Winfrey-style chat show of her own in which she is the host and she is doing the interviews. But Craig's main revelation, that was going to be in the video, was a warning of global food shortages. He said the most important is going to be the food shortages, which he says will be sadly bring about famine in the third world, but also great hardship everywhere. He continued, there has been quite bad weather events around already, but I get the feeling that these weather events are going to get worse, which is likely with global warming. This guy is just a ray of sunshine, I swear. Could he be any? He goes on to warn that 2023 is going to be a particularly bad year for all things to do with crops and also fish stocks. Craig mentions that we currently have some cases of avian flu in the UK, but says, I feel we're going to get some form of cattle illness that's also going to add to these problems. Craig, can I just speak frankly? Why can't you predict the numbers? I don't know. Why is everything doom and gloom? What I'm trying to say, I guess, is you're saying things that are how do I say this in a nice way? Common sense is what I'm saying. So you're saying there's going to be a food shortage. You mean like the one that there is? You said that there's going to be a lot of global unrest and social issues like there is right now. I don't know where to go with that. We here at legitpodcast.com and Legit Paranormal News have a series of new shows on our website that all shows can be seen live streaming on legitpodcast.com. Now, there are shows on Friday night, Monday night. If I did it in order, it would be shows from Monday all the way to Sunday night. Only night we don't do shows is, you guessed it, Saturday nights. Now, there are several people from different podcasts that want to stop by. My producer's telling me right now we have someone stopping by. Let's see. I think we have, the teleprompter says we have Uncle Douchey and Fuzzy the Wasted Bear.
Oh, hello there. Thank you for having us on, Mark. I will do the talking for us, Mark.
Oh, man. The sun is so big. Oh, my God.
Anyways, Mark, we want to talk to you about the paranormal. Now, I believe in the paranormal, and I'll tell you why, Mark. Because there are ghosts, you see. But we have much bigger issues than ghosts.
Grass tastes like snozberries.
Shut up. Shut up. Let me finish. You're drunk.
Man, I did more than just drink.
I will finish. What is worse than the paranormal? It is you young kids who will not drive cars. You're 16 and you will not drive a car. And if you do drive a car, you won't go on the highway. Now, tell me that I'm wrong. Tell me that I'm wrong, because I'm not. These kids do not know how to drive on the highway. I'm a puppet, for Christ's sakes. I go on the highway.
Man, we were on the highway. We went to go see Steve Miller, and I was like so wasted.
Shut up. Anyways, Mark, that's what the puppets here at Puppets with Problems think about paranormal. So, for Grandpa Douchey and Fuzzy the Wasted Bear, thank you, Mark.
Mark's here? Hey, Mark, you get any more of those?
I'm working with imbeciles. Back to you, Mark.
Were those puppets? I'm not. I'm sober, right? Are those? And the name's, it's Mike. It's King Michael. It's really easy. Our next story. The paranormal science and history behind the 28-day cycle seen on Netflix with the show 28 Days Haunted. Here on Legit Paranormal, we had Sean Astin on 2 or 3 weeks ago on a Sunday. You could look it up on our website. Let's discuss. The Netflix ghost hunting series, 28 Days Haunted, introduced the paranormal world to the 28-day cycle, a theory on the nature of hauntings that was developed by famed American ghost hunters Ed and Lorraine Warren. But is there any science to back up this theory? In the show, which dropped on Netflix in October, we're told the investigation teams in the show will be locked down inside of 3 alleged haunted locations for 28 days. During this time, they'll be totally immersed in the haunting with no contact with the outside world. We're told that the reason the show's producers picked a 28-day duration is due to Ed and Lorraine's discovery that in their case, it took 28 days to fully pierce the veil between the living and the dead. The husband and wife investigators claim that this is the barrier becomes virtually non-existent at 28 days, allowing investigations to fully connect with what's lurking at a location. Yes, I'm Italian. That's why I talk with my hands. Validating the origin of this theory is tricky. It's not clear whether the theory is based on the Warrens' analysis of reports from other people living long-term in a haunted location, or whether Ed and Lorraine actually noticed this paranormal connection themselves after 28 days during the cases. Sadly, they are no longer with us, so we can't ask them. However, they did leave behind extensive notes on their 10,000 cases, some of which have been adapted into the biggest horror movies of all time, including the Conjuring series. Haven't seen one, but then again, I haven't seen Harry Potter. I've never seen an Indiana. Many more have also been included in several books based on their case files. None of these books seems to mention that the Warrens moved into haunted locations and cut themselves off from the outside world to investigate them, especially for not for as long as a month. In The Demonologist, a biography on the Warrens written by Gerald Brittle, Ed is quoted as saying, "I spent a week in Enfield. I thoroughly interviewed all the members of the family, separately and together, while witnessing the phenomena go on around me in the house." So we know that in some situations, they spent at least a week investigating a case, but Ed's documents on the famous Enfield case reveal that they weren't in any way cut off from the outside world. In fact, while they were there, they conducted a live transatlantic phone interview with a radio station in Pennsylvania via the phone in a neighbor's house. Of course, the Warrens couldn't have spent 4 weeks on all of their 10,000 cases, as this would equate to over 800 years worth of investigations. Plus, the demonologist also states that the couple traveled the country for 10 months of the year working on cases. But 1 weekend a month, though, Ed and Lorraine managed to return to Connecticut and check in with home base. So this also seems to suggest that they didn't spend any 3 weeks on a case in general at any one time. The fact that the 28-day cycle isn't mentioned in any of their books doesn't mean it wasn't a theory that the Warrens came up with and developed and documented elsewhere. As previously stated, it could be that the Warrens formed this theory after interviewing victims of hauntings. They may have noticed a pattern of increased paranormal activity that begins 28 days after moving into a haunted home. We know that only a small percentage of the couple's cases have been published in book form, so this does still leave many to believe that it could have been longer, even 28 days long. After founding the New England Society for Psychic Research, NESPR, which of course it is, it's New England Society for Psychic Research, what other initials would they use? In 1952, they spent more than 5 decades investigating together. This would still probably allow for an impressive 300-month-long cases, assuming they worked together flat out and all of their other 9,700 cases were just a day long. The 28th theory was thrust into the paranormal limelight by Tony Spera, the son-in-law of the Warrens and current director of NESPR, the New England Society for Psychic Research. Tony would probably have access to all of the Warrens' cases files. Presumably, perhaps. The thing that was left unclear about the 28-day cycle experiment in the Netflix series was how they intended to attempt to prove the theory. The lockdown experiment ended on day 28, the point at which the theory states that the barrier should break down and the investigators can fully contact with the spirits of the locations. As the series went on, it was clear to see an increase in activity as the 28th day approached. But because the experiment ended on the 28th day, we have no way of knowing if the barrier between the living and the dead did break down on the 28th day. There's no way to compare activity before day 28 with activity after the veil has been broken down. We really need another 28 days of investigations so we could fairly compare the frequency and intensity of the activity beyond and before day 28. Whether Ed and Lorraine were really strong proponents of this theory or not doesn't take away from the fact that spending 28 days at a haunted location would be a hugely beneficial way to investigate. Spending an extended amount of time at a property will help an investigator to understand it better. After a few days, they'll have uncovered the normal explanations for many otherwise unexplained sounds, things like heating and ventilation systems, the building expanding and contracting naturally over the day, sounds from neighboring buildings, and noises caused by plumbing and drainage, and a goddamn water heat. So 28 days might not connect you to a haunting better, but it definitely connects you to the environment of a building better and gives you a much better idea of what's happening there. Who wrote that? Who? So 28 days was a show, okay, where people spent 28 days going through what they went through. Now, I am not a scientist. I am not a doctor. I don't know what you would say that I am, to be honest. Yeah, Sean Austin. I say Aston. You guys. Jesus Christ. Christopher. December 28th, 18th. Okay. Thank you. Can I continue? Okay. You spend 28 days anywhere and you do an experiment and there's deprivation. It's going to get worse as it goes on. Call it a hunch, call it intuition, call it plain old common sense. So, to say that the veil truly drops at the 28th day, and that, if you stay there day 29, day 30, it might be, a lot better. That's no good. That's no good. The puppets were bad, but that's no good. Look, the longer you do that, the weirder it's going to get. Trust me on this. Let's flip it on its head. Say I spent 28 days taking nothing but psychedelics, drinking booze, and playing with puppets. If I did that round the clock for 28 days, I bet you I come up with some really weird stuff. Now, if I did it for 40 days, the stuff would be so weird it wouldn't make sense to even me. Now, say it was 60 days, I'd be dead. Yeah, I'm not Keith Richards. I mean, I'd be dead by that time. Oh, I'm hearing from our producers. We have our on the scene reporter, Jet Fuel Gene Broider with us. Gene, how are you?
I'm doing great. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Gene.
Can
how are you?
Hear me?
I'm with you.
Out in the field, and as you can see, my field is pretty dang nice.
Nice piano.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. If you're very good, I'll.
All you, Gene.
Don't hold your breath. So, thanks for having me on. Gene Broider here, in the field reporter on all things paranormal, but especially UFOs and other high strangeness and taboo topics. Tonight, I would like to share with you an event long awaited in the annals of U.S. UFO history, and that is the Pentagon's 2022 report on UFOs. But wait, they're not called UFOs these days. The Pentagon and other military branches have, in their infinite wisdom, decided to rename UFOs, which everybody knows what that is, to UAP, which nobody knows what that is. But what that is unidentified aerial phenomenon. So we've gone from objects to phenomenon, and this long-awaited report has come out. I'm going to share it with you now. I hope. All right, here we go. I hope. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. I hope you can see this. Can you see this in the studio?
All set, Gene?
Okay, great. So what we have here is an unclassified document. I'm going to race through this because I have quite a few points to make and stitches to weave. This is from the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. So the UFO phenomenon has segued, well, it's always been in the intelligence community, but now we're being told straight up that UFO related information comes from national intelligence, the national intelligence community. It's known as a community. So this is the 2022 annual report on unidentified aerial phenomenon. And you would think there would be oodles and oodles and oodles of sighting, and this report would be hundreds and hundreds of pages long, but I'm going to skip to the end. I'm one of those people. Check this out, people. There are 11 pages in the 2022 report on I'm going to call them UFOs, the word we all know and love. Okay. 11 pages. Now, admittedly, there are some links throughout here. There are links to other things, but basically the military would like us to think that, in fact, they are telling us that this subject for a whole year only warrants 11 pages. And the last of that are here's our table of contents. We have an executive summary. Then we have scope and assumptions broken out, and then governmental changes to manage UAP issues with some sections there. And note, all of this is one page. This whole, and basically what they're saying, let me cut to the chase again. The assumptions are, we don't know what they are, but we assume they're an airspace threat, even though none of them has behaved hostilely. They will defend if attacked, but they don't go out of their way to shoot U.S. aircraft or any other aircraft normally, typically. They will shoot back. And so basically this document says everything 3 times, which is the great way to present information. But those 11 pages are full of a lot of repeated information. So I went through and I highlighted some of the highlights, which is what I do. You need to know some abbreviations. We know that UAP is unidentified aerial phenomena. Here's another one, ODNI. It's the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. Okay, so between these 2 agencies, they claim a whopping 510 UAP reports as of August 30th, 2022. 510? Are you kidding me? That's so low. That is such a low number. Okay, where's this number coming from? Let us look further. They use a term they define later, and they define that term here. All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. Wow, that's a mouthful. But ARROW and ODNI, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, collaborate, and they assess that the observed increase in UFO reporting is partly due to a better understanding of the possible threats that UAP may represent, either as safety of flight hazards. Okay, you don't want things running into the planes. Or as potential adversary collection platforms. What? That does not sound good. And partially due to reduced stigma surrounding UFO reporting. They're admitting at the Pentagon level that they have bullied UFO reporters such as myself for the decades, 70 some years now that this has been going on. And they don't even excuse themselves. We all wondered when disclosure came, we on Ufology Street always wondered what would happen. Would the government come forward and apologize? Oh, heck no. It's just business as usual. And we're going to form up some alphabet committees to take care of this. And here's what they're going to do. They're going to take these 500 reports and form even more committees. Pardon me. I get so excited about this. And they are going to assume, per a Defense Authorization Act, that for fiscal year 2022, they have established this office, organizational structure, and authorities to address unidentified aerial phenomenon, as if this is some sort of new thing for them. The government has been collecting UFO information for decades, since there has been UFO information. They've been collecting it, and now they're trying to legitimize it. In fact, they are legitimizing it by saying, well, we'll form up some committees, we'll change some acronyms, and business will go on as usual. And so the government is saying in this document that new committees will be formed. They will interlace and collaborate to share data because, gosh, there just isn't enough data on the UFO phenomena to render any decision. And all of these efforts between branches of government that normally never cooperate. Okay, this is important to understand. It's hard often to get branches of government that compete for budgetary dollars to synchronize and standardize the collection, reporting, and analysis through not just the Department of Defense, but the intelligence community as well. So we got spooks. This is the CIA, the FBI, and this is the Department of Defense. Okay, we got spooks and hawks. Spooks and hawks running the UFO initiative. What could possibly go wrong? The idea is to ramp up collection of all of this data, and from mostly military sources is mentioned in this document, which is deemed credible. We want credible observers. We got plenty of those, even if they're not actively in the military. All kinds of people are trained observers, so-called citizen science, if you will, one of my favorite drums to beat from the field. So the group's initial analysis and characterization of the 366 newly identified reports, that was before the even newer newly identified reports, categorized 26 of these things as unmanned aircraft systems or something like that. 163, so most of them were balloons, like weather balloons, and 6 were clutter, atmospheric clutter. Okay, well, that still leaves 171, which is about half of this original 366 that have uncharacterized and unattributed UAP characteristics. So here's the bottom line. UAPs pose a safety of flight and collision hazard to air assets. That's planes and stuff in the air. And they potentially require aircraft operators to adjust flight patterns in response to their unauthorized presence in the airspace. They operate outside of air traffic control standards and instructions. How dare they? But to date, there have been no reported collisions between aircraft and UAP. And yet they are this horrible threat that require millions and billions of dollars of U.S. budget for national security and airspace defense. And I see my time is running short. I'm going back to the studio, but next week, stay tuned. We'll look at the second part of note of this 2022 Pentagon report on UAPs, and it regards health concerns associated with UFOs. Let me send this back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Gene. I just had the people knocking on my door. It was 2 men in black suits with sunglasses, and they proceeded to club me in the head and said, "Don't let her speak again." So you must have hit a nerve, Gene.
You know, when they come after you, you're doing something right.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they had my address, but I'll take the lumps for now. Gene,
Oh, they got all our addresses. Make no mistake.
I believe that. We will see you again next week. Thank you, Gene, for stopping by. Whew, what a beating I just took. Okay, our next segment. Let us now move to paranormal sports. Paranormal sports? Okay. Let's kick it to me.
Thanks, Mark. I'm glad you had me on there, even though I'm doing the show. This is the Paranormal Sports. Let me go over Paranormal Sports for this week of January 18, 2023. Now, in 2017, the New York Football Giants were 3-13. In 2018, they were 5-11. 2019, they were 4-12. 2020, they were 6-10. 2021, they were 4-13. They won 22 games out of 81 in the last 5 years. That means they averaged 4.5 wins a season. So out of a 17-game season, which is now 18, I would watch and know that we're only going to win 4 games out of 16, 17, maybe 5, maybe, but not really. Usually, as a Giants fan, I was already looking into the draft because the season was usually over by week 5. But, and I say but, your New York Football Giants made the playoffs and beat the Minnesota Vikings in the opening round. How did they do it? The running back that everybody said was completely washed up played phenomenal. The quarterback that everybody says cannot be a franchise QB looked like the ultimate dual threat ever. Period. The defense, they said, was too young. A lot of no names. Seems like all those names are introducing themselves to quarterbacks like Dexter Lawrence, Kayvon Thibodeau, Leonard Williams, Aziz. Just let them know. So the New York Giants are playing the Philadelphia Eagles, the worst, most disgusting team in the NFL. It's just it's the armpit of the USA. But they're actually playing the Eagles this Saturday, and if they win, they'd actually be in the NFC championship game, one game away from the Super Bowl. So I guess my only response or comment on this as a Giants fan on how we're feeling about the fact that we've made the playoffs after 5 years, I said, again, where we never won. We averaged 4.5 wins. So I guess in a roundabout, long-winded way, Mark, I just wanted to say, oh no, yeah, 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 yeah. If the Giants are in the playoffs, that's got to be paranormal.
That was me. Caldors is closed. And the name's Mike. How do I get my own name wrong? Moving right along. We have a new musical ghost hunting app, and it perhaps may be the most honest and useful of its kind. There's no denying that specialist mobile phone apps have become an increasingly popular, man, I got hit in the jaw from that guy, and popular tool on paranormal investigations. But most people, balk at the idea of using an app to track down or communicate with the dead. However, the creator of the new app wants to change your mind, and they might just succeed, or maybe not. Paranormal researchers are often skeptical of ghost hunting apps because they're not convinced that a phone can detect ghosts. And of course, this is true. There is no ghost detector in a mobile or mobile. I like to say mobile. It makes me feel older. But phones are pretty smart, and they do have a whole array of sensors that can be used on a ghost hunt. Although these sensors exist, some apps attempt to convert the input from the senses into words and phrases, a process that is ambiguous at best and is never fully explained by the developers of the apps. There is the Paranormal Spirit Music app. No, I'm sorry. It's the Paranormal Spirit Music Box app from Spotted Ghosts. And we believe it's different. It uses the phone's inbuilt sensors to perform a very simple task, playing a piece of music. The app replicates, God darn my head, the functionality of a type of physical ghost hunting device that uses motion detectors to trigger a music box. It works by playing an eerie ditty if there is an unusual spike in the electromagnetic field around the phone or a sudden movement. This should be appealing to any spirits of the long dead and act as a trigger to encourage. It should? I just don't think it should. I mean, you agree? Right. Depending on the make and the model of the phone, the app can also respond to the proximity and changes in temperature, air pressure, and humidity. What makes the app's use of sensors even more powerful is the fact that you can turn off different inputs. For example, if you switch off everything other than the light sensor, then the app can be used to trigger when there are significant changes in the light in the room you are investigating. Being able to turn sensors on and off in this way makes it very easy to test this device and understand exactly how it triggers. Even when all the sensors turned on, the app's intuitive interface tells you exactly what has triggered it. The Samsung phone shown in the demo, not that you're going to get to see the demo. I'm not showing a Samsung phone demo. Ain't going to happen. I break them every time. I've broken every phone I've ever. Not all sensor types will be available on all phone models, but the app still works without them. It just means that the missing sensor won't be used to detect anything. We're not saying that ghosts definitely affect a magnometer. Really? Gyroscope or barometer. Just make the words bigger. What are we playing? Scrabble? Sorry, I digress. But these are the things the phone can detect. And these same type of sensors are the backbone of many custom-built ghost hunting devices. So if you trust that an EMF meter, REM pod, REM like the, or an Ovilus can work, then you should put some faith in this app. What makes the Paranormal Spirit Music Box perhaps even more robust than other apps is that it's very honest and transparent about how it uses the inputs from all these sensors. It's not claiming to convert the signals into meaningful words or attempt any communication. All it does is play a piece of music that sounds like it's coming from an old mechanical music box, which is absolutely ridiculously creepy. So what we're saying here, I guess, at Legit Paranormal News, is that this one is the cat's pajamas because it doesn't attempt to say words for a ghost. It doesn't attempt to do anything else but play a creepy little music box tune if somebody moves or there's a change in lighting. That's what the app does. So if there's a change in anybody moving or any light, it plays a little creepy music box song. That's awfully helpful. Okay, we have another person from one of our shows, I guess. They wanted to touch base and talk in with us. I'm kicking it over to Little Tommy Tools and Vinny the Cop.
Hey, guy. It's me, Little Tommy Tools. You miss me? Anyway, guy, I'm on the set here, over here, doing our kid show thing. And, Mark, you wanted to talk to me about paranormal or something? I don't know what you mean, guy. What, paranormal? What? Oh, hold on a second. Hey, how you doing? It's me, Vinny the Cop. You know, roommates with Little Tommy Tools, Vinny the Cop. Anyways, now Tommy, what were you yelling about? Vinny, I got all kinds of things to yell about, guy. What are you talking about? My hat is see-through. How can I have a helmet that's see-through, guy? It's supposed to protect my head when I do work. I've never seen you work a day in your life, Tom. Vinny, why are we personal? Why? This isn't personal, guy. Maybe we should take a nap. No. They wanted to hear about the paranormal, so I will explain. Get me in focus, for Christ's sakes. What kind of a news show is this? Anyways, here's paranormal. I went on a date with this cute puppet girl. She wasn't that cute, guy. Shut up. Anyways, she cooked for me. She called it manicotti. She called it a dish towel. She called it sauce. Guy, she did all these things? Tommy, you have no idea. I said, that smells like delicious gravy. Was it that? Shut up, Tommy. Jeez. She said it's sauce. I said, all right, never mind. I get past that. I said, oh, look at the monogots you made. They look delicious, those monogots. Guy, were they really delicious? This one time, I'll tell you. Yes. Now shut up. All right, guy, all right. My hat's still see. Then I made a spill, and I asked for the mopine. She said, you mean the dish towel? I said, no. Did I say dish towel? Did anybody hear me say dish towel? Guy, I didn't hear you say. You weren't there, Tommy. Shut up. Guy, you're getting rough. I might take a nap. Anyways, that particular puppet girl lives in the paranormal realm where it's called manicotti, dish towels. I give up, Tommy. I give up on dating. Guy, do what I do. Just go to the clubs, guy. You get in the club, I'm like, hey, guy, go right past the line, guy. They ask for my ID. I go, I'm a puppet guy. What ID you want, guy? Come on now. What are you going to do? Cut me open and check for rings, guy? Come on now. You really are a bit much. Guy, that's what we do here. Puppets are problems. What's the deal? I'm going to go chat run in the woods, guy. You bother me. Back to you, Mark.
That was the second puppets And they didn't get my name right either. Out of the King Mike L. King Mike, microphone Mike L. I didn't even get it right, and you had me at Calidor. Good evening. Now we're going to move on to a story involving ghost hunting. These are proposed guides to ghost hunting. Now, a lot of you out there do go ghost hunting. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. These are things they say you should do before every ghost hunting experience. I can't believe I talked to two puppets. Two puppets? And they couldn't get my name right? Twice, huh? You're not paying me enough. Learn about the reported phenomenon. Before you investigate the property, do some research. Speak to the people who live or work there and find out exactly what is their experience. When does it happen? What times of day? There's no point in holding an all-night vigil if the house is very active in the day, but falls silent at night. You'll need to know in exactly which parts of the house the activity occurs and what form that activity takes. You'll then be able to shape your investigation. Now we have some common reported phenomenon and some methods you might try to validate them. Before you get to that point, though, you'll need to lock down the location. Now, why am I reading common sense again? Of course you need to learn about the place you're going to. If you walk into a place that's supposedly haunted, you ask, where's it haunted? That's the first thing I would do. You ask, where's it haunted? When is it haunted? What are you hearing? Who, what, where, when? Right? Okay. I did great. No. Hey, the producers want this. They get it. 2, lock down and put controls in place. It's always best to try to investigate any reported paranormal activity in controlled conditions. So it's important to lock down the building. This doesn't just mean making sure that no one is inside and everyone is accounted for, although this is vitally important. It also means turning off as much electric. Did I just almost say electric instead of electrical? Puppets. Electrical equipment as you can, including Wi-Fi routers, central heating, air conditioning, and anything with moving or mechanical parts, such as ventilation, fridges, washing machines, and pumps. If possible, cut all power to the building at the consumer unit. Okay. Of course, this situation has to be controlled. You can't have Joey Paranormal walking around all willy-nilly in one room while you're trying to listen to something. Of course you do that. Of course you do that. But I don't know if you cut the power to the building. I don't know. You can prove me wrong, tell me wrong, whatever. You can leave a comment, like this show, and subscribe. Again, tell me if I'm wrong. But again, common sense. Excuse me now. Planning your investigation. Oh, boy. Planning it. All right. I mean, you're going to plan it. You got to go in with a plan. Listen, this isn't Scooby-Doo, gentlemen and ladies, and everyone else. It's not Scooby-Doo. You got to go in with a plan. And first, the plan is to ask who, what, where, when, and why. I just added why because I don't know. And then you need to lock down the location, right? Now, here's things that they claim are always heard or seen. Investigating phantom footsteps. It's one of the most commonly reported occurrences in a haunting. It's the sound of disembodied footsteps. These sounds can occur at any time in a haunted location or during a paranormal investigation. It can be thrilling to hear heavy footsteps coming from the floor above you or walking around you, but experiencing it doesn't gain you any meaningful data. It can sometimes be difficult to rule out investigators shuffling their feet or standing on creaky floorboards when there's a whole team or even an individual investigator in the room. Now, I've heard a lot about footsteps in my time. The people I hear them from are credible people that hear footsteps above them. Now, why do we hear footsteps? Why is the ground impacted by feet? Here's my thing. You always hear footsteps upstairs. I've never heard someone say, I heard somebody doing tap right next to me. I never heard a soft shoe being done next to me. Always in the next room, but mostly upstairs. Sorry, that's just my thought. Please tell me that I'm wrong. I appreciate it. Investigating direct voice phenomenon. EVPs. Now, here's my take on the EVPs. Some of them are legitimately just unexplainable. They just happen, especially when you do like the voice box and it jumps channels and you get a voice to come across. You got to make sense of it that it's coming across multiple channels, which doesn't make sense because if your voice hits one channel and it flips to the next, your voice shouldn't continue. I digress. However, in my experience, some EVPs are just literally, all right, let's put it this way. If you have something at the start of a tape, don't count it. Anybody that brings me something, they say, listen, to the very start of this, there's going to be something. What? I'm sorry. And I'll explain why. I recorded music for centuries. And when I was originally recording music, we used the old tape, you know? You guys don't know what I mean. Like to edit, you would have to cut the tape and then tape it. Yeah. Before digital, there were no cell phones. There was no internet. So you're taping stuff. Anyways, every one of those tapes that I've ever heard be put in for the first time had some sort of weird sound that happened at the beginning of the tape. And it had to do with the beginning of the tape being like kind of mess with. I mean, you always put the worst tape at the end, right? Because people are going to mess with it. So it's not something you want to play. But when you would play it for the first time, you'd always get that weird kind of sound. I'm sorry, I digress, but that's just true. However, again, there are some EVPs, there are some things that I've heard that people have caught, or I have actually been a part of, that are unexplainable, and they do exist. I think that is probably the greatest way to connect if you were looking to connect, because it's a vibration frequency world. I know that makes no sense. You might think it's the vodka speaking, but it's not. Not even the beating I took as a gene. Not even the puppets not knowing my name. What I'm trying to say is that to me is one of the most credible sources, because vibrations, sounds, things like that travel, that bounce through, right? Time is all over the place. It bounces. It's not something that sticks. Let me actually bring in Gene for this. Gene, what I'm trying, Gene, I'm glad you're okay. The piano still looks great. What I wanted to say was, I guess what I'm saying is vibrations and sound, that kind of stuff. That to me would be the way to connect with people. Also, I have a belief that everything is involved with vibrations. And that might be why there's different timelines or paranormal events. What if, Gene, they were just different timelines vibrating with ours and interconnecting? Thoughts?
Yes. First of all, regarding vibration, they say that in the beginning was the word or the sound, that in the very beginning there was nothingness, basically stillness and darkness. And that became tedious for the creator who set up vibration. That ultimately allowed reflection, being able to look back upon self and then divide that. Now we have subject object, me and the other. So yeah, vibration is at the crux of everything. Would it pierce and transcend and permeate throughout all the universes? Absolutely, it must. And the other part was about timelines. That's a very interesting topic. I'm intrigued by time travelers' stories. And I know most of them are probably hokum and bunk, but what do you think? These time travelers, did they really come back? There's only one story I think might be legitimate about that, and that's the Bilbeck story having to do with the Philadelphia experiment. that
Mhm.
Tesla technology gone horribly wrong, as Tesla had predicted before he dropped out of the project. Your
Mhm.
thoughts? I don't see why timelines couldn't exist, coexist, just at a different frequency range, like a radio dial.
That's so that's exactly where I stand with that, because I actually asked the question once, and I never really got a straight answer. And it's, so where does sound end? Like, in other words, something that's a sound, a vibration that makes sound. Does it end where someone can hear it? Can no longer hear it? I don't believe that. Like, in other words, let me do it this way. If I'm playing something in the middle of a field and you keep walking away, once you get to the point where you can't hear it anymore, technically the sound doesn't exist. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's still
I
traveling.
do, but
should be still with you.
there's a physics answer and there's a Zen answer. The physics answer is that those frequencies dissipate and they're slowed by friction in Earth's atmosphere, at least.
Mhm.
Out in space, they're going to travel frictionless. So that's why we want to get satellites out of atmosphere to transmit. And that's why there's such keen interest in building bases on the far side of the moon. One interest is in blocking, having the physicality of the moon block earthly transmissions. And so transmissions into so-called far space are not obstructed by anything. And there's very little atmosphere or friction on the moon. And it's ideal for that sort of thing. You with me there?
100%.
Yeah.
So what's the Zen answer?
The Zen answer is, if a tree falls in the forest and no one is there to hear it, does the tree falling make a sound?
Yeah. So I've thought about that one. I've thought about that one. I've thought about the chicken and the egg.
Yes.
I've thought about the one where someone
Butter
would walk,
side up, butter side down.
yeah, no, well, someone will walk up to you and say, "Can God make a builder? I'm sorry. Can God make a boulder so big that even he can't move?" Which is a trick question, because if you say, "Yeah, he can," and then they say, "Well, he can't move it, so he can't do everything," and then you say, "No, he can build something that he can't move," they tell you, "Well, he can't do everything." So that's one of those questions where, to me, it's just like the chicken and the egg. It's just like the tree falling in the forest. They're all like riddles within themselves. Because here's what I'm going to tell you. I don't believe the tree makes a sound unless someone hears it. I don't think, I'm a very obviously odd person.
Well,
I
what
don't
if a
think,
squirrel heard it?
okay, that, I don't know if that registers. Does that count? Are we counting squirrels?
I'm just saying.
No, I was just asking the producer.
So
for
I'm
kind of
thinking,
squirrel.
yeah, a tree falling sets up a vibration. If there's
Mhm.
something with a sensory organ akin to an ear, right? I think, don't
Mhm.
snakes sense sound through their skins?
But
But if an animal has a sensing apparatus for vibration, they're going to hear it or sense it. Otherwise, not so much. It sets up a vibration, but is that sound in the sensory sense of it? Do you see
All
what
right.
I mean?
So the real me would tell you that of course it makes a sound, and of course there's sounds going on in the forest when we're not there, right? It's like saying, does a frog make noise when we're not around a frog?
Right.
So here's what that comes down to, though. With the tree falling in the forest and the frogs, can you hear them? Can you not hear them? I think that, of course, it's happening all at once. But I think the bizarre way of looking at it, and the way that I sometimes picture things, is that, what if it's not? Like, what if you're just on the timeline that you're on, the vibration, the wave, if you will. You're riding the wave of you, and it just happens to be bouncing through other timelines, but not actually stopping in one. In other words, you're not. People always say, like, in other words, what if you're not part of this? You
You
just
think you're bleeding into other timelines? Your energy is bleeding into other timelines?
there. It
Who's
is
to say
exactly.
it isn't? Maybe that's what creates sensations like deja vu
Or
or weird dreams when your conscious mind is resting and the subconscious can travel out, tap into consciousness.
It's funny you say that because our my co-anchor, Dreamy David Barr, that's what he specializes in, dreams and lucid dreams and things like that.
Yeah.
And on our show, Legit Paranormal on Sunday night, 7:05.
Great show. Great. And you
do-
get great guests on that show,
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
including authors of books such as Unknown Objects, the top 10 U.S. UFO cases.
Yep. Hold it right. Wait. Hold it right
Got some
there. So I can get
glare.
you the full thing,
Got
Gene.
some glare. Here we go.
There you go.
How's the glare?
No, you can see it. Great plug.
Good, good.
In and
It's on
out.
Amazon. Unknown Objects, the top 10 U.S. UFO cases by
Wow, Gene disappeared.
by Jet Fuel. What did you call me? Jet Fuel Gene.
Hey, Jet Fuel Gene
Jet Fuel Gene Broida.
comes in hot. Stays hot, goes out hot. Oh yeah, hell yeah. Gene, thank you. I'm gonna wrap it up. I appreciate you joining us. Thank you guys for joining us for Legit Paranormal News. Let me quickly go over our schedule so you know what's what's happening and when you can tune in. Now, here we go. Let's start with tomorrow night. Tomorrow night we have Legit Paranormal Clips. It will be myself and Buddy Money Fair. We will be reviewing clips of video or EVP or photos of experiences with the paranormal. We're not going to slam them or make fun of them. We're going to give our honest opinion on what we see and what we think is happening. So it will be a review of the submissions that we've gotten so far from all the ghost hunting teams that have gone to legitpodcast.com and signed up. We have a full show for you tomorrow. It's going to be awesome. So that's Thursday nights. On Friday nights at 8:05 Eastern Standard Time, it will be Legit Bigfoot and Cryptids with Daniel Bigfoot Benoit, founder of ECBRO. Look it up. Great guys. This will be a fantastic Bigfoot / cryptids show. They're from Virginia. I've gone down there for I think it was the 3rd annual Bigfoot Paracon or thing. I'm sorry. I don't know what name to put with it. But it was a great time. They're great people. They know a lot of stuff about cryptids. Then it comes to Saturday. I don't do anything on Saturday. Sorry. Sunday, 7:05, the show that started it all, Legit Paranormal at 7:05. Myself, Buddy, Money, there, and Joey Paranormal. We have a different guest on every week. We've had all sorts of people. We've had people that should have never come on our show. I didn't just say that out loud. Then on Monday night, we have Legit Paranormal Open Bar. That's at 8:05. That's for anybody who wants to come talk paranormal, anything with the paranormal. Anybody's welcome in an open bar situation. Starting in February, taking that time slot will be Professor Stone and the Cellar Dwellers podcast. That's coming to you from the guys from Block Island Ghost Tours. That's going to be a conspiracy type just trip of a show. Trust me on that. Tuesday nights, every Tuesday night, it's a Legit Metaphysical World with Auntie Dale. Alternating weeks, Auntie Dale is going to have a guest on. And then the following week, live readings. All are welcome to watch. All are welcome to sign up to be part of live readings. It's different every time. Sometimes it's a home run. Sometimes it's a strike. Sometimes you get like one of those doubles that Jeter used to get. Drive someone home. You know what I mean? I digress. That's Tuesday nights, alternating. Wednesday night, which is tonight, every week, 8:05, myself and Dreamy David Barr will be here for Legit Paranormal News. I'm so glad you guys joined us. Remember, legitpodcast.com is the website that shows every single one of our shows live streaming right there and then. The schedule is right next to it. You can check out the website for other stuff. There is a show called Puppets with Problems. Basically, what happened was there was these puppets that work for a children's TV show called Are We Trippin'? The show got canceled. The puppets had no place to go, not a lot of money. So they all moved in together. Save money on rent. Makes sense to me. And it's called Puppets with Problems because there's about 15 puppets that live there. And, you know, if you put 15 puppets in an apartment, you're going to have problems. So that's 15 different voices, all done by the same absolutely insane guy wearing a tie in front of you. That's all we have for tonight. Thank you for watching. Hey, Cody. I just stopped the news for Cody. I'm going to tell you why. Cody should be on the news. Cody's got a head that was made for the news. His head screams news. Cody, when you hear that, if you do, remember I said that, and get in touch with me. Your head screams news. I mean, look at this. This is not, whatever. Anyways, I'd like to thank everybody. I'd like to thank Jet Fuel Gene Broider for joining us. Again, for myself, King Mike L. Wow, I got such a beating. Thank you for tuning in to Legit Paranormal News. Remember, if you're getting into paranormal because you want to be famous and make money, you're absolutely wrong.